USA, Canada, 86-72. The Americans win. They avenge their gold medal or their bronze medal loss, even though only Tyrese Halliburton and Anthony Edwards were on that team from the World Cup this past summer in Manila when I was there. And I'll just say this from the jump, like obviously exhibition game, they've only been together for like 4 fucking days, this thing. But I mean, that is going to be the baked in context, excuse, whatever, that these guys all use throughout the entire stretch. We've only been together for a week. We've only been together for 2 weeks because that's what they do instead of doing the 3-year commitment that Germany has done and blah, blah, blah. Canada also has some new faces, like Andrew Nemhard was not playing for Canada this past summer. He was bad last night. Great player. Couldn't buy a bucket. So I think that's one note about like, can the gap be closed when these teams face each other when it actually counts in Paris? But the thing that jumped out to me to start the most is that, of course, Steve Kerr being the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, we saw this a bit in the World Cup run. There's going to be some takeover from or translation of his style and schemes from the Warriors, which a lot of that has a lot of post stuff, right? It's always the pinch post actions where Draymond's touching it and Looney's touching it and even Wiggins gets down there. And it's just really cool to see that now be Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo. Particularly, I mean, Joel fouled out midway through the third quarter, but it's an exhibition.
And I think like 12 total minutes of work. Yeah, it was a quick hook for him.
He didn't look great, but it just was so striking to see Joel Embiid, all 7 foot, 280 pounds of Joel Embiid in the Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, Andrew Wiggins post, because he can pass out of it for sure, but he can also bulldoze them. I mean, there's going to be plenty of size in, Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama, whatever. But most teams, like the big guy on Germany, for example, Jurgensen, is like 6'10", and built like a power forward. Like there's not going to be even those two French Eiffel Towers are not going to be able to compete strength to strength, man to man, when Joel has his position and his footwork down and everything. So that was the first thing that jumped off the screen to me.
Yeah. And, as you mentioned, it's sort of the first run for Embiid there. I said, 5 fouls in 12 minutes, didn't even make it to the end of the third quarter. There's the, discussion of like ramping up his conditioning. Like, remember, he had knee surgery midseason. He was dealing with knee surgery and the knee issues and Bell's palsy and God knows what else during the first round series against the Knicks. And it's only been, a couple months since that. So he's still working his way into game shape. His quote was, "It's my first time in FIBA, so I'm going to get used to it. A lot of physicality is allowed, especially for bigs. And it was one of those nights. I'm a quick learner. I'll just need a game or two." So they have some more exhibition games to sort of get his feet wet. Yes, you're right. Like they might not need too much of him outside of those specific, like France is a specific matchup where you really need to play through him, or you might need to play through him. Serbia, certainly with Jokic being there, like that's when you want to have the big guys there. So like getting him up to speed is going to be interesting. You mentioned the other two bigs, Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo, them playing together in that second unit, I thought was really interesting. And also a continuation of something you had talked about, not so much that big pairing, but something you saw a lot in Manila with the FIBA World Cup team, Kerr kind of going with like line changes in that second unit.
Yeah, I mean, full 5-man hockey shifts until Joel fouled out. And then there's a couple one-off substitutions in the fourth quarter. But that was something they pretty much stuck to throughout. And I mean, this group, Tyrese, Anthony Edwards, who's the three? It's Bam, AD. Who was the three? Tatum. And Tatum looked like all he wanted to do was prove to the world that he can still get to the rim anytime he wants, as he showed off doing pretty well in game 5 of the finals. Yeah, that's a Olympic lineup that could start and be the favorite themselves, So and it was watching AD and Bam on defense together was a sight to behold. And it also was just kind of funny to me too, being that like these are the two guys in both ends of the conferences where they they met in the 2020 finals, correct? Right? Yeah.
Yep, in the bubble.
And the two guys, their stories have been about, oh, are they a 4 or a 5, and do they want to play 4 or 5, and their agent wants, or and the team wants them to. And so now here it's like, nope, you're both just like doing 4-5 stuff together. I thought was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's like a pair of 4.5s, right? And which they're both their athleticism, their quickness, their size and length allows them to do both, which is what has made them, all NBA players and all defensive team players throughout. There was a moment in I think it was the third quarter, where ball gets tipped back out to the perimeter and Ant gets a hand on it, like knocks it loose. And I forget who was back for Canada, but the guy's backtracking, and 4 Team USA players, you freeze frame it, like they are at midcourt. And it's AD like one touches the pass to Halliburton, and it's Halliburton with the ball, AD, Anthony Edwards, and Jason Tatum all running straight at the rim. And Halliburton puts the lob up, and like all 3 of them, it looked like the dunkers that come out during timeouts and jump off trampolines, and it's like,
yes,
I'm going to pass it back, and then I'm going to leave it back to you. Like they could have done that. They could have passed it back and forth to one another. And that was one of those moments where like you freeze frame that and you see those 4 guys running towards the basket on offense, and you're like, that is the thing that will make Team USA the favorite as much as anything else. Like no other team in the world has that level of wing talent to throw at anybody, let alone, again, that's the second unit for this team. Team USA went 10 deep last night without Kevin Durant.
Yeah. And
who is expected to be healthy enough to join them in Abu Dhabi, is going to be on the plane, yada, yada, yada. So that's the encouraging thing. I think, as you were watching last night, I'm wondering, did anything sort of stand out as like a concern or discouraging to you as you were watching that first run with them?